Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Okay, beautiful. Here we go. Happy Monday. If you're watching this in real time, happy Labor Day. You probably hear Jack upstairs having some morning feelings. That is part of mom life, right? But I'm so excited for today's topic, and I hope our connection is okay on hop over. If for some reason the connection isn't good on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you can always hop over to Instagram. Good morning, Sierra. Good morning, Nancy. Oh, it's so good to see. So good to see you today. Happy Labor Day. I missed all of you on Friday too. I know we weren't live. I think of we because we all come together on these. But Friday we were out of our house from like 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. because we put our house on the market. We had showings all day, so we were kind of like just traveling around the area, driving around with the baby and some dogs, and fortunately sold the house same day, which is great and exciting. And now we can come back together, and this is moving week. So I'll share some behind the scenes on stories as we go. Calm Cozy Designs. Good morning, Patty. Good morning. Happy Labor Day, everyone. So here's what our topic is for today. And if you're joining for the first time, or if you haven't been here in a while, we're going through some of the principles from Think and Grow Rich, which is an oldie but a goodie, right? To help you up level your capacity to receive, your capacity to earn, to help you really heal your relationship with money as well, and realize that money is your best friend. It is there to help you, and you are meant to be wealthy and abundant and prosperous and have everything you desire. And that's one of the keys to really elevating your sales and your business and your life. So I would love to know from those of you who have been here for part of the series so far, like, what's been your biggest takeaway so far from what we've been talking about? Maybe it's been things that you already knew, but you're like anchoring more deeply in your cells where you don't just know it here, but you know it here. Or maybe there's some new ideas around prosperity, abundance, wealth, worthiness, right? So I would love to know in the comments what your biggest takeaways have been so far. But today what we're talking about is this concept of, would you stake your future on an idea? Would you stake your future on an idea? And I want to read to you this one line from the book. So every book has different pages, but from my book, it's page 10. And so Think and Grow Rich, and this one line, and again, it's the pronouns that they use, early 1900s. It's all when a man does this, but when a woman, substitute your pronoun, my friend, okay? So I've learned from years of experience with men that when a man really desires a thing so deeply that he is willing to stake his entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, he is sure to win. He is sure to win. We got a lot of ladies joining today, so I'm just going to read this again. As a woman, when a woman really desires a thing so deeply that she is willing to stake her entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, she is sure to win. Now, give me a heart or give me a yes if that excites you, because that excites me. And I want you to think about the thing that you are going after, that you're here for, right? And just knowing many of you personally, getting to know some of you personally, to like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're creating. Thank you for the hearts. I'm glad this speaks to you. And I want you to think about, like, would you stake your future on an idea? I know some of you have staked your future on what you're creating right now. And I want to really, really, really acknowledge you for that. But think about what it says there, that when you do that you are willing to stake your future on an idea, that you are sure to win. It's like you are willing to do the thing that most people won't do. And because of that, that means you are sure to win. Calm Cozy Designs is saying yes. Nancy is saying yes. I love it. I love it. Let me just check comments here. Oh, Diane on LinkedIn. Good morning. I'm glad that speaks to you. Michelle on Facebook. Good morning. You're saying my floor is exponentially higher than I ever thought it could be. I've depended on myself for years and I've done exactly that. Yes. And it's the realization, Michelle, to what you said of, you have only scratched the surface of what's possible for you. You have only scratched the surface of what you can receive and what you can allow into your life. And actually I'm recording another solo. I've just been on like a roll of solo episodes for the podcast lately. She Sells Radio. Check it out if you're not a listener yet. But the episode that I'm recording today for next week is about how to expand your capacity to allow. Because the only thing that's limiting you from what you want and what you desire is that there's part of what you want that you're not allowing into your life. And that can come from limiting beliefs. That can come from, well, it's limiting beliefs. I mean, that's really what it's really what it is. Thank you so much for the heart. And so here's, when I think about in my own life too, so many times that I've like, you hear this term like burning the ships, right? That I've done that. And I think about, and I'll share, a few examples that were showing up this morning so you can maybe think about how this applies in your own life. But when I decided to go into coaching and become an entrepreneur, this was maybe 6 years ago. I had a 6-figure corporate job, and I got a lot of my validation from that. And there was a lot of ego tied up in that too. And, but there was this desire. There was also some stuff going on at the corporate job that wasn't that great, but aside from that, there was this desire to go out and start coaching, and specifically to help people with their sales process. And there was a lot of fear in that too. There was a steady paycheck coming in from court. Like I knew how to make money. I got a lot of my validation there. And I had one sales coaching client on the side who had paid me $300 to create a presentation for him. And at the time, I was like, that's enough. That is enough to go. And I quit. Now you've got to always do what makes sense for you and what's right for you. But I left that 6-figure corporate job with this one client who had paid $300. And I was like, I trust the desire had been so strong for so long to do this that it almost got to the point where it was like, I have to just go do this and see. And it was quote unquote risky, but here's where I think we have to reevaluate risk. Like if you're trying to just make it out alive in this life, guess what? That's not going to happen for you, my friend. That's the wrong benchmark to live by. I would go read The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying right now. By beautiful, beautiful book. I don't know if anybody's read it, but by Bronnie Ware, a hospice care worker. And she worked with hundreds of people who were, near the death transition. And she talks about like what they regret. And one of the top things every single one of them regretted was not going for it and not actually following their desires and following their intuition to go for the thing that they wanted. Because we have to remember like that programming to like be safe and be like, do the logical, the quote unquote safe thing. That's what keeps you stuck. Okay. That's what keeps you where you are. And so with what you want, I want to just ask you to think about with what you're going for, with what you're creating. Do you believe in it powerfully enough that you would burn the ships for it? And let me know, give me a yes in the comments or give me a heart. Like, do you believe in it powerfully enough that you're willing to stake your future on it and burn your ships? Because until you're willing to do that, you're not committed enough for the idea to commit back to you, right? We have to start thinking about our ideas and our desires as things with living, breathing energy. I did a really powerful session last week with one of my coaches where she walked me through this session of like, She Sells energetics. And it was like, if She Sells was a color, what would she be? And if she was an animal, what would she be? And it was like, I really started to view this business and this company as something outside. I've been viewing it this way for a while, but it was even more powerful, like outside of me. Like it's a thing, it's a relationship, right? It has an energy to it. So if you want it to commit back to you at that level, you've got to commit back to it and think about what does that mean for you? What does that feel like for you? Let me just pause and read comments. Nancy, you already took the first steps. Beautiful. I'm curious if you want to share, what did you do? That's awesome. Michelle, you're saying your podcast is so good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so I love, so when we burn the ships, like when we stake our future on an idea, It's a decision. It is a decision. And you know you're there because usually there's like that kind of like when I talked about when I was about to leave corporate and I was like, should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? There was this wobble. That's not burning the ships. That's not commitment. And what I wanted could not come to me in that energy. That's why I had one $300 client because I'd been like this about it, right? So the word decide comes from the Latin decidere, which means to cut. So you're literally cutting off every other option and you have no choice but to succeed. And this is why the people who have that level of success that you probably desire because you're here you don't hear as many stories about them because they are willing to do the things that most people aren't willing to do. But I know because you're here that is in you and that you are already either showing up as that person or that you're wanting to show up as that person. Okay. So you have to trust that instinct in you. And here's the thing. Why don't we do it? Why don't we burn the ships? And I want to talk about this today. And I want to also open it up that if you have self-doubt about what you're doing, if you have hesitation around staking your future on your idea, let me know in the comments because this is really, I want to inspire you to really trust and believe in yourself. Okay. I think the reason why we don't do it is it's that self-doubt, right? We question ourselves. And that comes from seeing parents do things that weren't successful. That comes from, I thought about this today, and I love my dad dearly. Like he's one of my best friends now, but every phone call, and he said this when I was growing up, and every phone call to this day, the way he ends it is, okay, be safe, be safe. And it's like that conditioning, right? That's the core message that you get from society, from your, like, be safe, be cautious, be safe. And it's like, that's a lot of why we don't do it, right? We question ourselves because your desires will never make sense, right? They won't make logical sense. Like but here's the thing, the brain thinks, but the heart knows. So you have to learn that when you have that desire for something, you can trust it. Okay. You can trust it. And the way that ideas work and the way that inspiration works is that is from the divine. And it's like, you're the person who's been appointed for it to flow through. Okay. Melissa, good morning. Kalua, good morning. So you have to trust that when that idea comes through you, and when you have it, right, it's kind of that moment when maybe like you're driving or you're in the shower and you're like, oh, you're not like in conditioning or patterns of like worry, self-doubt, or fear. You've got that idea and it's like, gosh, that would be really good. And you first have it. That's from the divine. That is spirit flowing through you, delivering that idea through you. And you are the perfect person at that perfect time to bring it to fruition. But what happens very often, we kill it. We strangle it with self-doubt, with I'm not ready, with that's too risky, right? And I've been there, and I'll tell you this little story. I actually don't think I've ever shared this before. But what'll happen is if you don't act on it, and if you don't start to give it room to live and breathe through you, it'll go to somebody else. Okay. And I'll share a story about this, but I want you to think about in your own life. Have you ever had an idea that you're like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea, I should do it. And then you let self-doubt strangle it. You let, questioning yourself strangle it. And then later on, you see somebody else did it and they were wildly successful. So many of you who know me know that I'm not only I founded this company, She Sells, but a couple of years ago, I helped start a company. I was a founding team member, not a co-founder, but a founding team member of a company called Brand Builders Group in the personal branding space. And it was something, there's a lot that happened leading up to that we're not going to get into, but Kalu was saying all the time. Yeah. So you get this, right? But essentially there was a number of people I had been working with at a large sales coaching organization. There was some stuff that happened inside the organization and a number of us were suddenly no longer there. Okay. And so we were like, what are we going to do? It had a non-compete, couldn't talk about sales. And so two of those people who had been some of the co-founders of the original company we were a part of said, we're going to start a personal branding company and it's going to be called Brand Builders Group. And anyone who was part of the situation who wants to join us in it and help start it, the door is open. And so I did that. And that company became a multi 7-figure company within the first 12 months. And now literally works with, the personal brands of some of the top musical artists in the world, some of the top podcasters, 8-figure entrepreneurs. Like, it's probably the fastest growing and one of the most successful personal branding agencies in the world, and phenomenal work too. But here's the thing, like 4 years prior to that, I had this idea to start a company called Personal Brand Builders. And I was still in my corporate job. I was, doing that, but I was really feeling called to leave. And I was kind of toying between, do I go the sales coaching route, or do I, want to go into this other space? And I mapped out this whole business plan for Personal Brand Builders. And I still own the domain to this day, and like recruited a couple people, but I wasn't the person yet who was going to be able to lead that. And so it kind of like fizzled. I never really took it very far because I had a lot of self-doubt. Frankly, I didn't really know at the time how to lead a company either. And so I say that with so much respect to my team members at Brand Builders Group too, who launched that company and led it. And it's, like I said, like wildly successful now in a very short amount of time. But that's how it works. And it's just the synchronicities between all of it. It makes me even chuckle to this day. And so the whole point of that, when you have that idea, when you have that inspiration that flows through you, you can trust that it is meant to come, and it is meant to come through you. Okay. But if you don't act on it, and if you're not willing to do what it takes, burn the ships, take the action, do the thing, it's going to go to somebody else. Right. And that's exactly what happened in my instance. And it's perfect how it worked out. Like, I wouldn't change how it happened at all. And the founders of that company have done a much better job than I would have ever done leading and growing that company with who I was, at the time. But it's that. Does that make sense? So you have to trust when it comes through you, it is meant to happen. And you can kind of think about it like it is the calling of other people in the world, your clients, your people, that they need your help, and you are being asked to take action on this. Okay. But if you don't act, it's the universe is like, no big deal. I'm going to bring this to somebody else, not in a punitive way, but just in a, like, it's meant to happen kind of way. Okay. So you got to trust that. Matt, good morning, my friend. So good to see you. Calm, Cozy Designs. I do want to eventually leave my job of education and do my business full time, but it's a bit scary to just leave. So here's what I would ask. So the first thing, and if you want to share your name, Calm Cozy Designs. Number one, you've got to trust that desire flowing through you. Okay. Number two, you never want to make decisions based off of fear. Okay. That's the wrong way to make powerful decisions. So your brain is going to go to what's the worst that could happen, but you have to proactively switch it and say, what's the best thing that could happen? So I want to ask you right now, what's the best thing that could happen if you did that? And the other thing I want to have you think through, and Nicole, great. Awesome. Good morning, Nicole. I did this with a client last week he's feeling inspired to start a consulting business and has a very lucrative job right now in another industry. And was kind of feeling some of the same things about, like, can I do it? Am I ready? And here's what I would do. I would play it all the way through to say, worst case scenario, what happens? And let's say worst case scenario, Nicole, you left, it didn't work, and you had to get another job in education. Could you get another job? Is there demand for what you do? Would you, like, play it all the way out? And usually you'll see you're already living your worst case scenario. Like, so often we are already living our worst case scenario, which is not doing the thing that we really want to do because we're stuck in what if, right? So you're already living it out most of the time. So I would really play that all the way out and realize, like, when you look at the worst case scenario, you usually realize, oh, it's like worst case, I'd have to get another job. Could I do that? Yeah. And I did that when I left my corporate job to go into sales coaching 6 years ago. And I said, worst case scenario, because I had, I think, 6 months savings maybe. And I was like, worst case scenario, could I go get another job in sales? I was like, yeah, I could. And I made a list of all the people I could reach out to, all the contacts who I knew I could probably get a job with if I needed one. And I did that before I left. And it was like, worst case scenario, I'm back where I am right now, but wiser because I learned something along the way. Best case scenario, this thing actually works. And I experience freedom and wealth and prosperity and impact and yada, yada. And it's like, that's what usually ends up happening. Okay. But you have to give yourself the opportunity to do that. So you're saying there are other jobs in education that I could get. Yes. Boom. There you go. So worst case, you do it and you're back where you are. Now, I'm not saying you got to leave right now with no money. If that's the case, like look at your situation, right? Look at your situation, but take a step today. So this is what I want to close on this. What is one thing you could do today to burn the ships? And sometimes it's a declaration. Sometimes it's going live on social media and saying, I'm doing this. I don't know how. Remember, when you're going for an idea that's big enough, you won't know how. Like when you're really going for what you want, you never know how it's going to happen because the how lives up here, which is where you're going. It doesn't live down here, which is where you are right now. So you got to start to take the steps and then the how will be revealed to you. But what is the one thing you could do today to burn the ships? Could you make a declaration? Could you hire a coach? Could you like tell your partner you're doing it? Could you do something today? Because remember, decidere, like things shift, the world shifts to collaborate with you and to help you when you make the decision, but it's not going to happen before. When you're going for what you want, it's not going to be some easy paved road that's already like, oh, I see exactly how this, and this is going to happen. No, that's not how it works. Because the point of what you're doing, the point of where you're going is not, it's not the end result. It's not the, like Nicole, to your point of like, do your business full time. The payoff in that, although there is going to be a lot of payoff for you when you do that of impact and freedom and financial, but the payoff of any goal that we go after is not, it's not the goal, because you're going to get there and then you're going to say, what's next? It's who you become along the way. It's who are you required to be in order for that thing to come through you. Okay. Nancy's, oh, and Leonard, good morning. Great to see you. Nancy's saying, if you knew how, you would have already done it. You would have done it already. Have faith. Exactly. So you have to know that that desire, that thing coming through you, one, it's meant for you. Two, it's going to happen either through you or through somebody else, because that's just how this universe works. And three, the how will be revealed as you take the next step. Okay. As you take the next step, and it'll be revealed in the form of an idea, an inspiration, a book somebody tells you to read, somebody refers you to. You'll be listening to a podcast and all of a sudden it's like, boom, there's your answer right there. That's how it works. You'll be guided along the way, but we get to, oh, Nafal, thank you. I'm glad this is speaking to you. We get to release the gripping and the need to know how it's all going to happen. And we get to look at not just the process of what you're creating, right? Whether it's a business idea or whether it's something else, but it's really the way that you're living as more of a joyful co-creation between you and whatever your language is, God, spirit, universe, where it's like you're being guided and you're co-creating and it's fun. And it's like, show me what's next. Show me what's next. This is exciting. This is fun. Show me what's next. It's that energy, but you got to trust that you're being supported and you got to take that action, whatever it is. So we're going to wrap up because I'm getting really fired up about this, but I got a team meeting in 4 minutes. What is the thing that you can do today to burn the ships? Okay. And I want you to comment below this video and let me know, what are you doing to burn the ships today? It's the fact that you're here on, an American holiday, Labor Day. Like, I know you're committed. I'm committed to your success as well. So I want to help support you. I want to know, and maybe just like making that declaration underneath the video here publicly is your first step in burning your ships. Okay. So put it there. Let me know. I want to help support you. I'm going to stop. This is what being a pot of coffee in the morning does. I feel like a cheerleader this morning, but I love you. I'm grateful for you. You can trust your desire and take that step on it today to act, my friend. Okay. As always, join me live every weekday morning, 8:30 Eastern, sometimes 8:32 or 8:33, but join me every morning, 8:30 Eastern. And tomorrow we'll be diving back in to more of this Thinking You're Rich book study. Okay, Timothy, great advice. Oh, I'm so glad it spoke to you. You're welcome. Oh, Rachel, good morning. We're just wrapping up. I was actually thinking about you last week. It's so good to see you, and I hope you're well. All right, you're so welcome, Nicole. I'm wishing all of you a beautiful morning. Have a happy Labor Day, a happy Monday, whatever you're doing. And remember, go out there and burn those ships. See you tomorrow.